Hey, this is me. My name's Aladdon, or at least that's what they call me. I don't really know my real name, but I am gonna figure it out. And to figure out, I joined what we call the Shoobies. It's a monster hunting organization full of inexperienced teenagers, near-death experiences, and tons of drama. Most of us aren't normal teenagers. Most of us are actually monsters. Ironic, we're in a monster hunting organization when most of us are monsters ourselves. But the thing is that we're good monsters, or at least we try to control our monsterly things, I guess. Anyway, so instead of doing normal school, the Shoobies is a good monster's way of giving back to the community, I guess. Okay, so anyway, this is going to be my rundown of everybody in the Shoobies. Who they are, what they do. Okay, let's go ahead and start with sort of the queen bee of the group, Sloane Zedler, or Maps.
And she's called Maps because she makes maps for everywhere that the Shoobies go.
Anyway, she's got the cutest Scottish accent, just the sweetest thing overall. You would never guess that she's a banshee, so she can't scream, or you die. She's got a brother named Danny Zedler, or Clone. And Clone, well, clones himself. Some of our nicknames aren't really that original.
Alright, next we have Nicole Rodriguez. Nikki, or Koi, which is her nickname. She's a werewolf. I've never really met her in person, but she seems to be a pretty nice girl. Next we have Lorena Simmons. I don't really know much about her. I know that her powers are sort of like a crystal ball, which means I guess she can kind of sense people's futures and everything. Next we have Mike Van Dyke, or T.I. Most people just call him Mike. Mike is not a robot. Don't ever call him that. Ever. He's a cyborg. It's complicated, but just don't call him a robot. He's just not all the way human. Anyway, Mike, sweetest guy ever. Which makes it kind of hard to believe that he's got probably the biggest jerk I've ever met as a brother. And that is AJ Van Dyke, or Blaze. And he's called that because he's a firebender. AJ is a giant jerk, but while most people have a terrible image of him, he has a single admirer, and that would be Claire de Ravine, or La Fleur, which means the flower in French. She's the sweetest, and she has a huge thing for AJ. She's a Spriggan, which means she can kind of summon poisonous bees on you and probably kill you. Anyway, she has a best friend whose name is Crop. Crop is his nickname, but his real name is Ethan Daniels. He's a photographer. I don't really know whether that's the reason for his nickname. I know that they're best friends, and he's an earthbender. Pippo Spinelli. Pippo Spinelli is a lightbender, and I've never actually met her in person, but I hear that she's a really sweet girl too. So, she's got a really loyal follower. And that is Marilyn Lock, or Kitten. And Kitten's nickname is Kitten because she's 65% cat. Yeah, it's weird. Alright, next up we have Jane Benson, or Rebel. And she's an expert vampire hunter. Last I heard there was something major that was going to be going on between her and another Shoobie, who we just recently found out was an anti-Shoobie, and that would be Bruiser. Bruiser's kind of like Frankenstein, but don't ever call her that. Anyway, we thought she was just a really mean Shoobie, but it turns out she's actually an anti-Shoobie, and I figured that one out myself. We have Anastasia Jackson, or Fauna. Fauna is, I think, really big into animals, so she may be like some sort of nature talent. I'm not really sure what she does yet. And she is best friends with James Copper, or Heartthrob. Heartthrob, on the other hand, is just a sleight-of-hand magician and con man. Next we have Delaney Clemens, or Martian. And Martian's nickname isn't that original because she's an alien. What? Surprises. Anyway, though, she's a major alien creep, though. Super scary. Major creeper. Next we have Amy Benson, or Tro. She's a dreamer. I think that means she can kind of dream the future. I've never met her, but she's part of the Benson triplets, which include Rebel, who you've already been introduced to. So anyway, they're twins, and there is another one that we'll get to in a second. Anyway, so on to another person in the Benson trio, girls. Tory Benson, or Echo. She seemed, in the brief time that I knew her, to be a good person. She was really into nature and all that. Anyway, next we have Jonathan Carlisle, or Smirk. Smirk is a cold bender, but he's actually really hot, but you didn't hear that from me. Anyway, what I've heard is that he's kind of stupid, and he's a major flirt. But I don't know, I might still kind of want to meet him. Just saying. Anyways, next up we have Trevor Thorne, or Trooper, and I don't really know anything about him, but he's a super cute little boy. So anyway, that's Trooper, and I assume that he's been through a lot. Alright, next we have Amy Faraday, or Sunshine, and she's supposedly a really emotional, super shy, kind of freaky girl. She has invisibility, which makes sense since she's super shy and socially awkward. Alright, next up we have Jackson Sanchez, or Shadow. And Shadow is a shadow bender. Big surprise. He's relatively new to the Shoobies, signed up last week, I think. So I'm glad that I got to include him in this video. Next up we have Colby Harris, or Ella. And Ella gets her nickname because she's got the same curse as Ella does in Ella Enchanted, the story. She has to obey everything that somebody tells her. Sounds pretty crappy. Next we have Tara Bay Tong, or Iris. And Iris is an earthbender. She's also blind. So that's Iris, and she's an earthbender, like Rob. Alright, next up we have Michael Camp, or Crush. And Crush is super strong. I mean, he has strong powers, not that he's just physically strong, which is also true, but that's his power. He's like Mr. Incredible. Holly Love, or Spectre. And Spectre, I bet you couldn't guess with her nickname, is a ghost. She seems pretty cool, so I can't wait to meet her. Next we have Scarlet, and Scarlet doesn't really have a name. I think that she just goes by Scarlet. Anyway, she's a vampire, and she's an anti-Shoobie, like Bruiser. Bruiser and Scarlet are the only two I can think of that are anti-Shoobies, or at least that we know. Bless me with the pronunciation of this. Natori Marinata Kintanpin. Oh, I did it. Or Natori. That's her nickname. She's an advanced alien robot. Next up, we have Jude Benson, or Zone. And Jude Benson obviously is related to the Benson triplets. He's a sleeper, or a dreamer, like Amy Benson. I guess they kind of have the same power, being able to dream future events. That's pretty cool, I gotta be honest. Well, I guess that's it for right now. And I guess I'm gonna have to have a part 2. Check it out.
Are you serious? Okay. Robots are so sexy. My t-shirt is Mickey Mouse. In fact, it's not even a t-shirt. My t-shirt is here.